Hello and welcome to the ETOF 21 Sports Podcast for April 8th. How is everyone doing? My name is Erik. I'm the man behind ETOF 21 Sports. You can find my work on Twitter at ETOF21, on Instagram at ETOF21 Sports, for free horse racing picks at ETOF21 Sports _horse_racing for free fantasy football stuff. That stuff, of course, is going to ramp up as soon as fantasy football starts coming into full effect at ETOF21 Sports _fantasy. How is everyone doing today? Wow. I mean, March Madness is over, and I'm not going to lie, it was a hell of a college basketball season, finishing 55% against the spread, plus 79.01 U ROI, and more importantly, we hit that Kansas future, boys and girls. We got Kansas at plus 1,600 all the way back in November. So it was a great season, but now we're on to NBA. Gino, Kyle, and myself will have NBA shows pretty much every day next week. So starting Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll have, of course, have our one on Sunday. Whew. We're wrapping up. We got horse racing, tons of horse racing coming up. We got the Wood Memorial this weekend. Make sure you check out my boy Gino, who's going to be doing all these previews. Santa Anita Derby and the Bluegrass. Tons of stuff going on in horse racing. We got a UFC card. My boy Leo comes on. Leo and I are going to break down the UFC card. And, of course, Brandon's going to come on the show today. And we're going to talk about the NASCAR race this weekend. I gave out the Suarez over Amarillo. My boy Brandon gave out Hamlin 12-1. So we're just making you guys some money. So hopefully we can continue to make you guys some money. But like I said, those are the three guys today. We got a great show. But we need to jump into the gambling industry before we go into that. Now, as you guys know, I used to sell picks, and it sucked. It was a nightmare. I mean, I would come on, I would tell you guys what I bet, 1,000,002 questions, and it just got to the point where it's just too stressful. And so now I do this stuff for free. I hand stuff out for free, and I try to help you guys because I was lucky enough. I've told the story a couple times. I've told it during the cocktail hour with Chase. When I've gone on Gino's podcast, I've told it. I was lucky enough when I was a young stud, where I was at a casino, a tribal casino, and I sat down on this blackjack table, and I started playing blackjack. This old guy, kind of took me under his wings, like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You have no idea what the fuck you're doing. I had a fake ID to get in the casino. I shouldn't even have been in the casino to begin with, but I was in the casino. And he kind of just was like, dude, what are you doing here? You don't know what you're doing. And he took me under his wings. And he also bet sports. And that's been a 20-year relationship with me and this guy named Brad, who took me under his wing. And he taught me the stuff that he has taught me is just mind-boggling to me and has helped me become successful at betting, has opened up numerous other things that I'm able to do in my life because of betting. And I am here to help you guys. That's what I'm doing. That's why I go on those live streams with Gino, to help you guys to don't make the same mistakes I did when I was a young pup, to help you guys better understand it. Any DMs I always respond to. I always try to get you guys to understand, why am I betting something? Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because of this. There's always a method to the madness. And if you watch the live streams that we did, the Nets live streams, when I told you guys to take Akron at plus 860 and Akron plus the points, Georgia to beat Auburn at home plus the points. I mean, all my reasoning, I tell you guys this. In the NFL shows, I tell you guys this. And I am going to start, like I said, doing more and more live streams. And now we're doing our podcast, where the interview part we're recording live. We're doing those live on Twitch. So you guys can get in the Twitch and you can ask me and have it be Gino talking Lakers, Brandon talking NASCAR, Leo talking UFC or tennis, David talking NFL, talking college basketball, talking NBA. Whoever my guest is or myself, you can get in and you can ask us questions, and we can tell you in live time why we do something. So I'm just trying to expand what I'm doing to help you guys. And I'm not getting a dime for this stuff, guys. This is me helping you guys out, trying to get you guys to the level where you can walk away and you can beat the books. At the end of the day, I absolutely love it when people beat the books, but that gets to the point of this rat. We have to be careful. We have to be careful. Because right now, what these sports books are doing is they're hiring what I call content creators. They're not sports bettors at all. They're content creators. And they tell you what to bet. So one person, I'm not going to say the person's name, someone did this whole video on it where they showed you how she was tweeting out UNC money line. And then at halftime, she was touting how it already won. And now she works for a sports book. And then after the game lost, Kansas made the biggest comeback in the world in the history of Division I basketball. She all of a sudden has North Carolina plus 4.5. And so you got called out on it. And some of her people, some of her friends blasted the person she got called her out on. But there's video evidence. They're saying she just made a mistake. Come on. You guys know, we all know we don't make a bet by mistake. Who makes a bet by mistake? I'm doing the Joey thing from Friends right now with the quotations. Nobody makes a bet by mistake. That was a bunch of fucking bullshit. And I'm sorry, but if you fall for that bullshit, that is what the sports book is betting on. They get someone up there who's entertaining, and they just kind of lead you down the wrong path. And that, again, if you guys want winners, you guys want to make some bets for free, hey, old Uncle Rico's here. He is here to help you guys make some money. But me and some of my guests, Leo's got 3 bets. I got 3 bets for the UFC card. I got some NASCAR bets. Leo's got some NASCAR bets. Those bets are going to be coming later on the show. But before we jump into that, I am a basketball guy. One of the biggest disappointments of the season was the Los Angeles Lakers. And before we get everything going into that, before we go into the betting, we need to talk about the Lakers. So now, obviously, the NBA playoffs starting next week, but the big story.
What are those?
I mean,
I don't know what those are.
The big story is the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't want to use the term shit show, but I'm going to use the term shit show. And who better than my boy Gino, Lakers #1 fan, to come on. And this is what I like doing. I like getting people that gamble, but they're also sports fans because they're able to kind of separate the fandom.
Exactly.
And be able to kind of talk about it. I don't want to use the term adult perspective, but I'll use the term
because
adult perspective.
I'm going to root, right?
Yeah.
Once the game starts, I'm always going to be rooting for them. But I can have conversations with you before and after the game about what actually happened and not be such a homer where it's like, get out of here. That really didn't happen. And that happens a lot with the Lakers, right? The Lakers in particular are one of those big fan bases like the Yankees or the Cowboys, or the bigger the fan base, the more sort of novice fans or the more kind of bandwagon fans that have where people just want to root for them, and sort of there's not a lot of educated conversation around those teams as much as other teams.
Now, before we dive into it, I wanted to bring this up because this is how bad it's gotten. And this is probably the tweet of the year. That's all, folks. I mean, that tweet literally made me smile. And for those that don't know what, the Pelicans are referencing, when AD was demanding the trade out, he wore a Looney Tunes "That's all, folks." And the Pelicans tweeted this out after the Lakers were eliminated. When was it? Saturday or Sunday of last week?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That made me chuckle. I thought it was the tweet of the tweet of the year, probably.
It's good. It's funny because everybody loves to pile on the Lakers, especially a team like the Pelicans who have, some reasoning with the Anthony Davis stuff. And so right now, just take your shots, because take them. because they're deserved. They're earned. The Lakers earned them. But all I will say is just, if you're one of those teams that hasn't won a lot, I'd smile and be happy, but just probably not say too much.
But I mean, I think that tweet was justified.
Oh, that with AD,
Yeah.
it makes so much, because
Yeah.
he did that.
Yeah.
So for them to be the team to say, "Hey, look, we're the one that kind of puts you away this year," that was great. And I mean, it's not. If we would have had this conversation, if you would have said, Back to the Future, we get in the time machine and we go to the end of the season, or we go back to when we had our conversation before.
Yeah.
Neither one of us thought this team was going to win the title this year, but I don't think anybody would have said they were going to be the 11th seed.
Yeah.
Anyone, even the people that hate the Lakers the most, even the people that didn't like Westbrook and don't like the fit, which was us. We didn't like this fit at all, but I don't think anyone would have said they're going to be 11th and have this type of record.
Exactly. Everyone thought that they were going to, be in the mix, at least for probably 5, 6, somewhere
4, 5, exactly, right in the middle.
Somewhere in that. And it's funny, like, I'm looking, everyone does these winners and losers from the trade. And I Google the winners and losers from AD Laker Pelican trade. First winner, LeBron James. Okay. Loser, Boston Celtics. I think the Celtics are at a pretty good spot now. It's always fun, like, going back and look at these winner and loser things. Winner, Anthony Davis. Loser. Now, this is an interesting one. Lonzo Ball. I mean, I think he's in a good position right now. Yeah. He signed that hefty contract, and he's
now the only thing with this conversation, it comes down to how important is that one title to you?
Yeah.
Because if that one title means everything, then those guys probably think about it as they got shipped away instead of getting a chance to win a title. Mm-hmm. So and that's a great point. Like right now for the Celtics, they feel like they're in a great spot, but it's funny because if they lose in the first round, then again, we think about it. It's like, wow, they had a great year, but what did they get out of it?
Yeah. And it just, I guess my point to this is because it shows how
in 6 months, right? Because if we have this conversation every time 6 months later, it totally flips, because you're absolutely right. Those teams and those players individually are all in better shape moving forward than the Lakers right now, where they are. But between now and then, the Lakers have a title. So it's like, where do you weigh it? How important is that?
Now, we can go in the past, but we can look what their issues are. And I think they lost 3 key coaches, and that's the issue this year. They lost Kidd, who's obviously in Dallas doing a great job defensively. He was responsible for a lot of their defensive schemes. They lost Lionel Hollins, who has a great track record as a head coach. And I guess there was some communication stuff that rubbed him the wrong way when Kidd left, and that's why he backed out. But the sneaky one is St. Jean. He was their developmental coach and one of their lead scouts. And I think that's the one, as shocking as it may sound, is hurting them the most.
Now, see, what I think the problem with the staff and the roster, now, I don't mind, and those guys that you mentioned that left, that all hurts.
Yeah.
And I don't think Frank Vogel did a great job this year. It's sort of weird. Frank is he's like a teacher. That's sort of how I look at it. And Frank is kind of stubborn in that he wants to teach you the right way to do things. He really wants to play the long game. And you can tell, he wants to establish these habits. He wants to make sure you do this defensively. If you don't, he's going to bench you. He's going to pull you out and put in one of his guys that does. And the problem that they had this year in particular, besides missing those guys, is that Frank didn't fit with this roster in particular. He's a solely a mainly defensive guy. Offensively, he's had to learn offensive schemes and stuff, but he is a really fantastic defensive coach. What he did 3 years ago and 2 years ago with the Lakers, incredible with the groups of players that they had in his first 2 years here. This year, he kept trying to make this team into something that they weren't. And at some point, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and look at the team that you have and say, okay, we can't do my system anymore, right? This is like an old school versus new school. A new school coach, you can't teach one kid the same way anymore. Every kid's going to learn differently, right? Or a lot of them will. That some you can be firm with and yell at. Others, you can't really do that. You got to take them under the wing and talk to them. Others, they really want to know their role. Before, you could sort of be, hey, this is how I am. I'm the coach. This is my way or the highway. It's not that he's an ass or anything. It's that he just got stubborn and he didn't do a very good job adjusting to the players that he had and the roster that he has. That's where guys like Ty Lue are really good, right? Whoever they throw out there, they make it work the best they can. That's where I was a little bit disappointed with Frank this year. He can make you a better defensive player, but he didn't make this team. They would never have been a great team, but Frank definitely could have made them win more games this year. And because their staff wasn't strong enough, and maybe it was not having a guy like Kidd there to talk to him, someone that he respected and trusted. Because Frank Vogel said the other day, Jason Kidd should win the coach of the year.
Yeah.
He thinks so,
And I think like your comment is kind of it. Like you got to have that guy you trust on your staff when you're effing up and not seeing stuff that can come to you and be like, hey,
we got to do more of this.
We got to do this. We got to do this. This
is not working.
Yeah.
The guys aren't responding well to that. We got to go here. And so it's hard because I think I like Frank, and as a fan, when these guys bring you a title, you have great feelings for them, right? Like Frank Vogel came here and he made a bunch of guys that weren't all that great defenders before buy in. Anthony Davis and LeBron bought in. Kuzma became a great defender. We saw Alex Caruso blossom more, and really KCP was fantastic. Two-way player. But this was the year where Frank needed to say, okay, I can't. Defense is important, but this team, if we're going to win it all, we're going to have to outscore players, right? We're going to need Carmelo and Monk and some of these guys to light it up. Let's make sure that we highlight their strengths. And he didn't do that. He put people and players in spots not to succeed, but a lot of times they were in spots to fail. It's like, what are those three guys doing on the court together? They don't make sense, and
all good coaches and whatever level, they always put their players in a position to succeed.
Yep.
Even if it's something that takes them out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like for me right now, I have a certain way I coach, a certain way I like to do stuff. I have a kid who has a potential to be good. So I have to change stuff to make stuff comfortable for them. And it's really hard for me to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a grumpy old man, but I'm pretty set in my ways.
Yeah.
But
if you really want to get through to that kid and what's best for your team and for everyone around and for their development, it's to make sure that you don't get them in a bad mental space, right?
Yeah.
You don't want them to be in a spot where they're like, screw it. I'm done with this,
And so, the big room. So we'll start with Pelinka and then we'll go back.
Sure.
With Frank. It's minus 170 on most sports books that he's out. And that's kind of like the parameter I use to kind of see if there's going to be a switch, because those guys, especially the offshore books, are in the know. So, do you think he's leaving? Okay. And if he does leave, the big rumor is Omar Wilkes, who's head of basketball operations at Clutch Sports. Tell me, do you think he leaves? If he does, who's going to replace him?
I do think he leaves. I think him and Vogel will both be gone. And to be honest, I like Rob a lot. I actually think Rob's funny because Rob has gone, his narrative in the public has shifted wildly over a few years. He was like Kobe's guy, and everybody thought he was sharp. But then you'd hear him talk, and he'd say some goofy stuff. It's like, man, this guy is goofy. But then you'd hear some stories about him and like his work ethic, and it was like, this guy's really sharp. Then there'd be stories that were released that were like, Rob doesn't even know basic stuff about the salary cap, which I found hilarious. It's like, you're telling me the guy that worked with Kobe doesn't know basic stuff? And then he did some incredible things to make the salaries work over the last 2 years. And then coming into this year, even after they won a title, I thought their team, when they made the moves and they ended up getting Schroeder instead of Danny Green, and they brought in Montrez, and their team was actually probably better with Gasol than they were the year before. But they had some injuries and they were unlucky. Last year, that was awful. And he is the guy that deserves all the blame for that. Like, deserves blame, not all the blame, but the buck stops with him, right? He's the one that makes the final decisions with personnel and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to critique someone. If you thought that the Russell Westbrook trade was going to work with the LeBron and the fit, then you know what? You were wrong, and that's fine. I'm wrong about a lot of things, but that felt like a part in where there were the people that are like sort of serious basketball fans and gamblers and like that watch the game that were just like, this isn't going to work. They didn't like, we didn't even like debate it. It was that's not going to work. It was like, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
It was like we said, maybe they'll be an okay regular season team, and maybe they'll win a round, but they're not like, as soon as they play a good team in the playoffs, that team's going to have no spacing.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to shoot. Like, it's just not going to make sense. Their three best players are all below average shooters. It makes zero sense, And
I'll never
novice, like of someone who's like either a less hardcore fan was like, LeBron, Anthony, and Russell Westbrook, and you're going to put Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard? It was like, oh my gosh. And so there was a real battle between, people that were like, they're going to be the greatest team ever. And a lot of us
people
as a Lakers fan or others were like, what? They're going to be maybe bad.
They're going to be struggling.
Yeah.
And there's this, I'll never forget. I got this text message from my buddy. How are the Lakers going to win when they're starting someone that couldn't even get in the Pistons rotation, meaning Wayne Ellington? I mean, because he was a starter he was going to be a big guy for you guys. And last year he was struggling when the Pistons were 100% healthy. The rumor is Omar Wilkes, the head of basketball operations at Clutch Sports, that's LeBron, is rumored to come in. I think that's a mistake. Yeah, I think it kind of gives LeBron a little bit too much say in what's going on. What do you think?
I don't love the move. Now here's the thing. I don't know how that is any different than probably what goes on right now anyways. Like, I don't know how much more say LeBron would have than he does right now, right? I don't know how many decisions he's not consulted on. I'm sure we know that the reason why Westbrook is here is because of LeBron. We know that the players that are here, a lot of them are because of LeBron, and he signed off on them. So it depends on underneath him, right? Because for a lot of the things that the Lakers get laughed at this year, they deserve to be laughed at. But we've talked about too. They're like a mom and pop organization, right? Genie Bus it's been a family thing. It's been passed down. And so the Lakers don't always win on the margin sometimes, right? They overpaid Kobe. Was that a smart thing to do? Well, no. Kobe didn't have a
mom and pop thing to do. You're staying loyal to your guy.
But that probably brought you LeBron, right? Or like we said, that being in LA and looking and being like, wow, I'm in LA, and that team treated Kobe really well. So that sort of does that. But one thing they do well, I will give them, as far as like the numbers and the analytical stuff, they hit on the margins with their late first and early second round picks. If you sort of look at their recent history with a lot of those guys, I mean, you go back to Kuzma, end of the first round, Caruso, you go back to Jordan Clarkson was another one. You go back to THT, is another one, So those are all NBA rotation players. Even guys like this year, it's funny. the guys who were the best plus minus players on them for the Lakers at the end of the year, or their best on off numbers, were Austin Reeves,
Yeah.
Stanley Johnson, Wenyen Gabriel.
Okay.
They were guys that weren't even on the roster when they put this roster together.
Yeah.
So they know they actually do have a decent scouting. And when they don't have a lot of money and they have to work with late first or second round picks, they do a good job there. But Erik, this poor team, they had 5 players this year that were on contracts that were not minimum contracts. 5.
Yeah.
And one of those 5 players did not play one game, Kendrick Nunn.
Which is crazy to me. But
not one game.
Yeah.
And the whole year it was like, oh, Nunn will be back in a week, or Nunn will be back next game, or Nunn will be. Was Kendrick Nunn going to change the fortunes of this franchise? No. But they started the year. Kendrick Nunn was out. Ariza was out. Wayne Ellington was hurt. Malik Monk played one game. So those are 4 guys that are all like rotation, wing-ish guys that are not even playing. So now you're like, who are we playing? Like, who's even going to be out there right now? We have 3 guys that are making $40 million. And what's the rest of this roster? Literally every other player after THT and Nunn is on a minimum contract. Carmelo, Avery Bradley, Wayne Ellington, Dwight Howard, Kent Bazemore, Malik Monk, Reeves, Stanley Johnson, DJ Augustine, and then Wenyen Gabriel on a 2-way. Every one of those guys has a cap figure of $2 million or less. Like, what are you supposed to expect from minimum players?
Yeah, there's not much you can. And let's look at their salary for next year. I mean, I'm looking at this. Westbrook's got a $47 million player option. I mean, he's opting into that.
Absolutely.
You got James at $44.5 million. You got AD at $38 million. When you have that big of stuff and you have no draft picks this draft, you have absolutely no draft picks. You still have you have Horton for 10.3, Nunn for 5.3, Reeves 1.6, Johnson 2.4, and Gabriel 1.6. I mean, I know we've talked about this back and forth, but it kind of the window for LeBron's closing.
Yep.
I say 3 years, you say 2 years.
Yep.
Okay. So, I've been going. You need for them to win a title, and this is just me spitballing here. You need to get James to buy in. Hey, you're playing 30 minutes a game.
Yep.
You're playing 30 a game. That's it. And I mean, he's 39. What do you average? 30 points this year? You're 39 and you're averaging 30 points.
And you know what? He got a lot of shit from people throughout the year towards the end. They're like, LeBron's just trying to win the scoring title. He could have played in these last couple of games and won it, but he didn't, which is smart.
Yeah.
If he would have gone out there and hurt himself, that would have been really stupid. So at least for all the LeBron haters right there, they can say that he didn't push himself to win the scoring title this year. One less thing to complain about.
So my thing is you're going to have to do something to kind of get some guys on this roster, but also have somebody to kind of take a little bit of burden off LeBron. That's why when I'm thinking about it, Westbrook likes to have the ball in his hands. If you get it to a scenario instead of having Westbrook stand in the corner and say, LeBron, we need you to play 28, 30 a game. Russ, you're coming back. We're going to lean on you more. You're going to be playing in the high 40s during the regular season, but come playoff time, we need you to kind of take a back seat. And then try to trade AD. Do you think that works, or do you think they're better off going down a different road?
From everything I've read, Westbrook just doesn't entertain those ideas.
Okay.
He just doesn't even want, he won't do that.
Okay.
He's stubborn. He just is he won't at any point not want to be the guy. I do here's my concern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who would you rather have the ball, Russ Westbrook or LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron. I mean,
so that's the problem when they made the trade for Westbrook to begin with, because right now there's really no time when I'd want Russell to have the ball over LeBron. And you don't want him to be in the corner shooting because he's not a good shooter.
He's a rhythmic guy that needs the ball in his hands.
I know what you're getting at is that AD is at least worth more than Westbrook.
Yeah,
so you absolutely right, because
you got to be able to fill this roster out.
You're going to have to attach. You're probably going to have to attach THT to Westbrook just to get rid of him, like as an asset. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like throw him there to someone else for cheap. That's unfortunately where the Lakers are in trouble right now. Is they're going to kind of have to get a little bit lucky, because the one thing that they need to do, everybody knows they need to do, is they got to get rid of Westbrook. Okay. And they got to try to get as much back as they can for a guy who's going to make $47 million this year. And if you can get 3 guys that make $15 million around that are like nice rotation pieces, that's the template for the Lakers. Like that's exactly, you have LeBron, you have AD, you have another ball handling guard, someone who can also handle the ball, but someone who can at least shoot. You know, someone who, if they're off the ball when LeBron has it, they're not going to kill you if they stand out at the 3-point line. You know, they don't even need to be an all-star level person. They just need to be like, honestly, the guy, like I'm literally thinking of someone at the Schroeder level, right? Like do some of the things that Schroeder did, maybe be a little bit better shooter, but for all the crap that he gets, he actually had a pretty good year.
He was a good piece to have
most of the year up until he was in and out because of the COVID stuff a couple times, and he was physically not there, but he carried them when LeBron and AD were hurt for a while. So it'll come down to it again, right? Because I am one who goes to defend AD quite a bit, because I look at his, we've had conversations about this a lot. I look at his game logs. I look at the years, how he's gotten hurt, games that he's played. And for me, I can talk myself into it. It all makes sense. I'm like, oh yeah, that year he missed like 10 games, 12 games. That year they shut him down a little bit early. And then he came to the Lakers. He missed, I think, 8 games. And they were just not even injury, just sitting one out on a back-to-back, or, missing a couple at the end of the year. He played the whole playoffs. They won a title. And then I thought he was great. And since then, we've had a quick turnaround. And so for me, I'm like, damn it, if the season wouldn't have started so quick, maybe his body doesn't break down. And maybe I'm wrong in thinking that, but maybe I'm not.
Well, you don't, but that's one of those things where you just don't know.
You don't know what
I mean? Like, you don't know. His body broke down. You don't know if this is something that's been lingering, or like you've pointed out a couple of times, he had that huge growth spurt.
Right.
When he was like
junior to his senior year in high school. I think he went from like 6'2" to 6'9" or something like that, right? Yeah.
So we don't know about that.
I don't think he's soft. That's my whole thing is, I don't think he's going, yeah, I can't do it. I can't go out there. I actually think it's the opposite. Like, I saw him this week when he came back. This dude shouldn't have been playing. This dude was out there limping. He was dragging his foot up and down. And I was like, please lose, so I don't have to watch this guy try the next few games and really hurt himself. I think that some guys, like we said, are a little unlucky. Think about the really great players that had crazy injuries or just had bad luck. I think he's been a little unlucky, and I don't think it's a soft thing. I don't think he's a wimp or a wuss, or I don't think he doesn't want to win or he doesn't care. And what I love about where the Lakers are right now, the one thing I love about where they are is they came into this year with a shitty attitude and a mentality, because they were doing what I'm doing, Eric, and what a lot of the fans were doing. They were saying, we could have beat Phoenix last year if AD didn't get hurt. And like, maybe that's true, and maybe it's not. The Lakers were up 2-1 in the series. It was halftime of game 4, and it was like a 2-point game, and AD got hurt right before the half. Does that mean automatically, if he's healthy, the Lakers would have won that series? No, but they were in decent shape there. But because they were in that mentality, they came into this year thinking that they were the same team with a different group. They kept thinking they could flip the switch at any moment. I there's a podcast that I listen to that's an awesome Lakers podcast. That's really cool. And it's Laker Film Room. And one of the guys, Darius, he has these great like analogies and stuff. And he said, the Lakers are like, you know, when you were a kid and you read those like choose your own adventure books and you go and it's like, you go in door 1 and then it's a whole different adventure that you're on, you know? And then you're like, all of a sudden you're driving down the street, you're in a car, and then you go right. And now all of a sudden, like because you went right, you're at this different place. Well, the Lakers kept thinking, they kept going down these different doors. They kept thinking they were going to end back up where they wanted to. It's like, no, you go in a door and now you're on a different journey, right? Like this guy gets hurt. You bring in these 2 guys. You can't play defense. Now you're way down here. Like you can't just magically get back to the point where you're going to flip the switch and be a title contender again. This team didn't put in the work at all year. They disrespected basketball. You know, you got to earn it. You got to sweat and bleed. And that's what the reason why the Lakers won the title a few years ago, that team, they showed up together in Vegas months before the season started. Everybody came together. LeBron was super motivated. He had come off a year where they missed the playoffs that year. And so it was the first time he'd missed the playoffs in like 10 years. He'd been to the finals every year for like 8 straight. I think we're going to see at least a motivated, hungry team at the beginning of this year. When they come back with 8, I'm hoping it's AD, LeBron, and whomever. They're not going to come in thinking, well, we could have won it last year. Dude, you guys weren't close.
Yeah.
You had no shot.
So let's play GM real quick. And before, like, let's piggyback. I have a sleeper pick who I think is going to be, I think he'd be great for the job. I think getting him to LA is going to be tricky because he's very comfortable where he is right now. He interviewed for the Pistons job, but then he backed out and the Pistons gave it to Weaver. I think, and he has a great relationship with LeBron. He's played with LeBron. He's been in the NBA front office since he retired. I think a great guy to come in and to lead you guys and build a roster would be Shane Battier.
Yeah.
I mean, he's working right now in the Miami front office. He won a title with LeBron. He comes from a good organization in Miami. I think that's a guy where, no, don't get me wrong, he's got a great life down there, comfortable in his job. His wife works down there. But I think he could be tempted to go there.
With the right money.
That would be.
He's absolutely a perfect. He checks so many of the boxes of the things that I want, right?
Yeah.
He himself is like a defensive first guy, but he's been already working under one of the smartest like organizations, right? They're so good there. They have a good culture from the top down with Riley. So he's been a winner his whole life.
He and LeBron are tight.
Yeah, and he knows him.
Yeah.
He's good, and he's not, but he's like young enough to where he understands that this NBA can't be just a defense, right? You have to have a good defense, but you got to be able to score, and you have to be creative offensively. You can't just be like, throw it down into the post, or here's our best player, let it work. You got to run schemes to get your shooters good open looks. You have to, you're like the Lakers this year. There's so many times where it's like, did they run any set?
Yeah, it didn't look like it was just thick. You have to have some sort of movement side to side, some sort of action.
And then if they did, it was like, oh, well, Westbrook just said F that, or LeBron like shrugged it off and then just went their own, you know? So they need someone like that.
And let's say Shane gets the job. Okay. We're going to pull up the whole trade machine here. Boom. So obviously you got to move this $44 million.
The one that, did you hear? Are you hearing Charlotte? That was the one that recently
that was the
up?
one I heard. We talked about LA, not New York on your podcast. So let's go Charlotte here. So let's pull up Charlotte. We're going to say, and you said we'd have to throw in Horton too, right?
If you're going to sweeten it, because who's just going to take him on?
Yeah.
At least you say here, we give you another really nice contract for a young guy with some upside.
So, all right, let's throw in Horton here. Now, who on this roster do you think they can get back? I mean,
I think they would give up Hayward.
You think they would give up Hayward?
But see, like, he's a guy that, and what's funny is, like, he actually would be a great fit if he was healthy, because he's he has the skill sets of things that would fit really well next to LeBron.
Yeah.
He can handle the ball, but he doesn't have to handle the ball all the time. He would be fine off. He could play a little bit of defense. He could shoot a little bit too. The only problem with him, like, the guy's not healthy. And I don't even know if they would, like, I mean, he's a much better asset than Russell Westbrook is, I think.
I wouldn't. I'll be honest. Like, he is such the leader of that team.
I know.
Their splits when he's not there. I don't think they'd give them up.
I mean, no. And I would, let me say, if I were them, I wouldn't give him up.
I mean, I'm looking at this.
See, like, Rozier at least makes enough money to throw in there.
Here's the thing, and I've said this a couple of times, and I've got absolutely sandblasted. The Celtics effed up.
I know.
When they got rid of Rozier.
For Kemba.
Well, for
first it was Kyrie.
Yeah. I believe if they would have kept Rozier, and you're rolling out Rozier, Brown, and Tatum now, that's the team.
Rozier wouldn't have gotten the big money that he got there at Boston, right? It was like he would have stayed there at Boston for less money. I
like him a lot.
Me too. He's a gamer, right? I would not be scared of him in a playoff series. He'll make big shots. You put him, I like that fit. I do, actually.
My thing is this. If you're trading for Westbrook, and there's no way I can envision Westbrook, Rozier, and Ball.
No way. So you're getting rid of, and you're not getting rid of Ball. So you're getting rid of Rozier.
We'll put Rozier there. But
Terry.
You know, we still got we still got to generate like 30 million more of money to
the one who they would never, but would obviously be the perfect fit for the Lakers would be Bridges.
Yeah, would be, but Bridges is a free agent.
Yeah, and so it would be like a sign and trade, right? They'd sign him and put him in the mix. So, and he's someone who maybe they do that. Maybe they think he's going to leave.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they say, what I heard is he really wants to play in Detroit so his mom can watch it.
Yeah, and
so the one that makes sense to
money-wise, he would make sense with what he would be getting paid, right? He's going to probably make $30 million.
Yeah.
You know?
The one that makes sense to me is Plumlee, just because Davis doesn't want to play down low.
See, that package, let me say, as a Laker fan, if they could trade Russell Westbrook, even with THT, and get Rozier, Bridges, and Plumlee, I would leap out of my seat. That would be, does that mean they're like a title winner? No. But think about the fit there.
Yeah.
Think about how much better all of those players fit. You've got a big that can play, honestly, with AD and LeBron, if you have to, or if AD's not around, he's fine as a big. You've got Bridges and Rozier, who would be great next to LeBron and AD. Those are guys who can shoot, who can play some defense also, athletic. They get a little bit younger. Like, that is the exact, and people are like, what, Rozier and Bridges and Plumlee for Westbrook? Oh my God.
That works.
That's better. That's better. You can't be that Westbrook name right now. You got to put a line through that name, right? He's not the same guy that he used to be anymore. That's what dude. Let's get this in the works, man. I'm going to start releasing this like trade out there. I'm going to start dropping it on podcasts so it starts getting talked about. Let's get this thing going.
So that's a good one. But the thing is, this is like,
for the Lakers, I'm a fan. Wouldn't that be a great?
That'd be a great trade. But I'm letting you know, for a Pistons fan, I want Bridges to come home.
You want Bridges for sure, for sure. I know, and I don't know why. If you're the Hornets, like,
why do you do that?
Do you want to? What do you like? You want to put West next to LaMelo? I don't know. Like, LaMelo can shoot. He can play off guard a little bit. That's fine. But isn't he cool? Great with the ball in his hands. He's a fantastic passer. Like, I'd want the ball in LaMelo's hands more.
Yeah. But I mean, like, looking at this, that's why the Knicks made sense to me. I mean, if we just go through, They have Atlanta is young. There's no way they're going to make the trade.
No.
Boston, Tatum, and those guys, no way. Brooklyn, KD, those guys don't get along. I mean,
so pull up the Knicks. So the only thing about the Knicks is just who besides Julius, because unless they're going to get Julius and package him somewhere else, because I just don't think.
If you do this, if what I would do is I want Evan Fournier. I think he's a great bench player
too.
for you guys.
I would like Fournier quite a bit. I'd take Barrett, and I'd want Barrett.
I don't think they trade.
Me neither. I wouldn't do that if I were the Knicks. Why the hell would I?
But
because if the money, I don't know if the money would work with anything but Randall. And let me say, I actually personally like Randall more than most people like him right now, coming off of the bad year he's had. But Randall doesn't fit with LeBron and AD. It would be just like Westbrook. The three of them would all not be great shooters. Randall is much better when he's got the ball. He's actually pretty good as a playmaker, kind of point forward, but you need some shooters around Randall and probably one other semi-playmaking guard.
If you get Randall, though, AD is going to have to play the 5, and he doesn't want to play the 5. That's the issue.
And it's not even that he'll play the 5. I think it just has got to work. I don't know if Randall's the guy you'd want at the 4. Like, to me, this is the 3 of them. Is it who? There's not enough shooting again. You know.
What about this one? I'd still need 10 million somewhere.
Yeah.
Something like this. Like this is my suggestion. Like would you do this one as a fan? Westbrook and Horton. You're getting back.
You may not need to put Horton in here now.
Take Horton out?
Yeah, see what that looks like.
So you got Westbrook. Now in exchange, you're getting Evan Fournier, great player off the bench, come in, make some threes. He can close out. He doesn't need the ball in the hand, can stand in the corner, hit a 3. You got D Rose, but he's another old guy, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That'd be the one thing. You got Noel that can play center. He can get up and down the floor, but he's been hurt off and on. And you got Reddish, who has that, and I hate using this word as a coach, potential.
Yeah, upside.
But he hasn't figured it out. He's not the best worker in the world. Or who knows? Maybe you get LeBron in his face and LeBron's able to get through to him.
Let me say this. I would absolutely do this trade right now.
Okay.
I would do it as a Laker fan right now. And honestly, if you were the Knicks, why wouldn't, what are you giving up? Really? You're not giving up that much. Like we said, I like Fournier. I do too. But he's fine. There are a lot of Fourniers out there. Yeah. You can find that guy all over the NBA. And I think someone like a Cam Reddish, he reminds me of maybe what we saw from Monk this year. One of the few bright spots from the Lakers this year was Malik Monk. He is a really good fit with this team. Malik Monk could be a nice 6th or 7th man for some teams, like your second guy off the bench. I think that's a good role for him. Some guys, he could come in and win you a playoff game. Malik Monk,
Thinking about it, I think it would have been more like this. I think they keep Rose, and then they'd want to throw Kemba in.
I know, and that's exactly. And that's the problem. Is because then you're in trouble again. Because can you even play Kemba?
But the only thing is you're getting out of $44 million for 8.7.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. You know what I mean? That's a big.
You're right.
Yeah,
that's a big difference. So if it was this or nothing, I would do this.
I mean,
this is probably what the Lakers are going to be looking at.
Yeah, because this is probably the package. Maybe
nobody's going to give them anything, Erik. Nobody. Why is anybody going to help LeBron and AD and the Lakers? Who's going to do that? Why would you?
There's no point. I think in terms of packages, this is probably the best one, because I'll be honest. At the end of the day, I just don't see
which
the
teams are
to the there. Hornets working out, because
and go through the list team by team. Who does it make sense for them?
I mean, if we pull it back up and we take the Knicks out, I mean, let's just look at the lay of the NBA. I mean, look at it.
Atlanta's got Young. No, Boston doesn't need him.
Paid. Indiana. I mean, would Indiana do it? I don't think you'd want to go to Indiana. I mean, it would kind of be funny though
if Buddy Hield ended up back with the Lakers where it was supposed to be.
Somehow it worked out.
For Buddy
Hield.
That would be hilarious. If that happened, that would be so funny because this is where all the problems started to begin with, right? It was
Yeah.
supposed to be Buddy coming, and then after that, this all got screwed up.
But I mean, like, I'll be honest, like, if I'm the Pacers, do I want Russell Westbrook? But
I will say, like, I like Miles Turner a lot, but I don't. It's like Miles Turner and Anthony Davis. Like, do you need you don't need those two guys who like Buddy Hield would be a great fit. Like we'd all agree, Buddy Hield would be a really nice fit next to LeBron and AD. But
I mean, looking at these salaries, like, if you don't throw in Turner, I mean, you're going to be giving up all, like.
Oh yeah, give me Buddy and Halliburton, sure, right? Yeah, I'll take that. Give me those two, and we're good to go.
I just don't think it's the Pacers.
Why? Yeah,
Miami, no way.
There. No Milwaukee. We looked at the Knicks. Orlando's got all their guard. They got 3-point guards, 4 of them. Yeah. They don't need to. Toronto's got Van Fleet locked up for a while.
Philly, no way.
No way.
And
he just came from Washington. Dallas, they just got Dinwiddie, and they've got a great fit. Everything going on there. Denver's got Jamal Murray. Golden State's got Steph. Houston, they don't really want to win, and they just didn't Wall just say he's picking up the option next year for $47 million for them. So
I mean, how funny it would be if it just was like
trade him back.
Yeah, they just traded him straight up because they.
Hey, you know what? Let's just swap this thing. Let's go right back there.
What about Sacramento? I mean, that would be one. I mean, just because. I mean, I doubt Sacramento does it because I think Sacramento is kind of interesting because they do have like Fox, Barnes.
Jeez, if we could get Fox out of this, oh my God! Like, if we got someone that was actually a good player from this,
it's just tough because there's not many teams that are going to take on.
I know
Russell Westbrook.
Why? And like we said, it's not even like he's a gracefully aging $45 million superstar, right? He's stubborn.
Yeah.
We've seen him in multiple places go, hey, where are you going to be in a better situation than being right next to LeBron and Anthony Davis?
Exactly. Like, it's just one of those things where it's just, if you don't change, you're just going to struggle, and he just won't change. Now I think they should hire Battier to oversee everything. I think that would be a great fit.
I like that call, man.
New
if
coach.
It's not like Quinn Snyder is the one that's obviously been talked a lot about, right? And so if Utah has a quick elimination, like, I would please no Doc Rivers. Like, no, that would be so bad. That would be so bad. Like,
and
no way.
I think it would be kind of funny just because he would go from the Celtics to the
Clippers. No, well, Celtics to the Clippers to Philly to the Lakers, right? Yeah, so it's so like,
and I've never seen
big rivals.
A shittier coach get more wings out of one title run.
No, I know.
I mean, it's just remarkable what he's able to do. Yeah. That one title has got him all these things. It's just remarkable.
And look at how good the Clippers have been since Ty Lue without their stars, right? You wonder if Ty Lue was their head coach that year, they probably don't spit it out.
Now, again, something I always like doing, I like looking at these sports books because these sports books, they kind of know their thing.
They know.
And the one I love the best is Bet Online. Fizdale, he's a pretty good coach. Him and LeBron got a good relationship.
His offensive scheme is good. He's a very smart offensive coach. You could see the differences. There were times where we would hear that, or like Frank was out for a few games and Fizdale was coaching, and it was like, oh wow, they're a lot more creative offensively today, or like their rotations in their lineups looked a slightly different. He's a good coach. He's not a bad coach or anything, but he's fine. It sounds bad saying this. He's fine if you have to settle for him, right? Yeah. But you don't. There's probably a few people you at least want to take a swing for, other than him.
See, now the guy I think they should go for is old Sammy right here. I think this is the guy they need to go for. How this guy has not got an NBA job, I don't know. I think he wouldn't take any crap from LeBron. But more importantly, and we've talked about this before, the reason why Monte and Chris Paul work is Chris Paul lets Monte Williams coach.
Yep.
I don't think LeBron lets Frank Vogel coach. I think he would respect Sam Cassell enough where we would let him coach.
And see, I think this year, I agree with what you said. What's funny is that when Frank came in, the only reason why they won is because LeBron bought in and let Frank instill the defense, and everybody was playing their asses off defensively. But I think it was like anything. When we're humans, we're creatures of habit. When things go wrong for you, we sort of revert back to. So it was easy for LeBron to buy in because they were winning.
Yeah.
Everything Frank was saying was working out. They were all playing defense. Everybody was healthy, and things went great. They went all the way. They went on their run. They went all the way through the no real hiccups. I mean, there wasn't even like any drama that year. And for the Lakers, like as a Laker fan, every year that we've won, there's been drama. I was like, what? So when you and I joke about like, oh, that like I guess with like the 76ers we talk about or drama. I live in a Lakers world, so drama, I'm like, oh, teams can still win with the drama, right? Most teams can't. But that year there was nothing. And then immediately all of a sudden, I remember Schroeder came in and he was like, oh, I'm starting. I'm not coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And it was like, who the F are you?
Yep.
Like, this team just won the title last year.
And you're coming in saying that.
And there wasn't any of that the entire year before. Yeah. And you could just tell that since then, it hasn't been quite as sharp. And I agree that after that first year, LeBron hasn't, I don't think he's got to, as a leader, show everybody else, yeah, I'm all in with Frank. And he hasn't set a good enough example, I think, the last year and a half or so.
The next guy after Fizdale's Quinn Snyder, you and I agree he'd be good there.
Yeah.
Doc Rivers, you and I both agree. I don't think if I'm Nick Nurse,
why would you leave?
Why would you leave Toronto?
I mean, he'd be great, sure, but why would you leave?
You know, it doesn't make sense.
No, Steve Clifford, no Mike Brown.
See, I think Clifford. My one thing with Clifford is he's old. He's been around the game. I think he would get respect from LeBron. And I think he's been around superstars long enough. He'd be able to manage LeBron and control the room.
Have you watched any of that Lakers show on HBO, Winning Time?
I am through the episode where Jerry West watched the practice.
Okay.
So I'm like 3 deep, I think. 3 or 4 deep.
He's Jack McKinney. Clifford, he'll come in. Yeah. He's the older guy that'll get a lot of respect from everybody. He'll have a good system and stuff. They'll like him. I mean, he wouldn't be an awful choice. I don't think they'll make that choice.
My thing is this: if you have a 2-3 year window,
it doesn't matter if they're older.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
No, you don't need a young guy. That's why what you just said. That's why I'm a little bit scared, at least of a name getting mentioned and like thrown around. Coach K? No,
he won't.
No, that's what I mean. I don't think he will. But I'm surprised we haven't heard more of like a push and them going. If this was, like we said, if this was Jerry Buss, Coach K would be coaching this team.
Oh yeah.
But Genie isn't that type of person to go like and I don't think he's even someone who would fit. But it would be like you're saying, if you go to him and you go, hey, look, LeBron's got 2 more years. We want you to come in here for 2 or 3 years and have the respect. I just don't I don't think he's that great of a coach, to be honest. I really don't. I think he's a little bit overrated, but I would not be. That's the way the Lakers operate. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way they do business. So I'm actually surprised he's not on this list somewhere. Or is he?
Oh, he's toward the end.
Okay, I was gonna say, right? He's on the bottom. Okay.
Mike Brown, he's got a connection to LeBron.
I just don't think
doesn't move the needle for me.
He could be an assistant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He could be like a lead assistant.
I like Atkins, but I
do
think
too.
he's better with a younger
I
team where
agree.
it's more player
Completely agree.
development. So
I
I
don't
think
really like Stotts.
Scott's no. I don't. This is the thing. Like all these coaches go to announcing, and then there's all these rumors. Hey, he's gonna come back. Hey, he's gonna come back. I look at Bill Cowher. Granted, I know it's a different sport, but you're going from busting your ass,
That's an easy
never
gig.
seeing the family, to just traveling, announcing the game, leaving, going home.
And
Why
they're not doing the shows like you and I. They go into the studio. It's pretty cushy for them. They're not working all day long, looking at the metrics, diving into DVOA and freaking shot quality. You know, they're just life's a lot easier.
They get a nice sheet of paper handed to them. They read it. They go home.
Yep.
Fill out that expense form. That's it. He ain't going. Stan Van, same thing. I think that would be an awful hire. Stan Van Gundy. I'm not in for that. Calipari, right? You're the king of the castle at your school. Why would you leave?
Yeah.
Becky Hammond. I mean, I think it's a shame she hasn't gotten an NBA job yet. But I don't see her going there.
This doesn't feel like the right.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Right. The fit. She's another one that would be good for a young team.
Yeah.
You want her to, or you want to put her in a spot where you can watch her grow.
Now we're in the fun ones. Phil Jackson. Mike Krzyzewski, player coach
LeBron.
But no, I'll be honest. Like out of this, if I had to rate them, I'm in people that realistically could get the job on this list. I would put Cassell 1, Clifford 2, Snyder 3. That'd be my top 3. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. Fizdale, I really didn't even discuss because he's there. Like I think they could get Fizdale. And he would make plenty of sense. They respect him already. But, yeah, I think I like Snyder. Battier, who you mentioned, wasn't on that list. He's a really good call, too. Cassell's fine. If LeBron checks off on it, I would prefer someone that LeBron knows and played with, a Battier type, versus a retread like Doc or D'Antoni, someone like that. They don't need, they need someone who is at least pretty well-rounded. LeBron's going to check off on, and it doesn't matter, like you said, if they're older, because the Lakers aren't worrying about 10 years down the line.
I mean, I mentioned on your podcast last night, I talked to someone this morning, D'Antoni to the 76ers is basically a done deal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Doc is a possibility, but I think that would be a train wreck isn't doing it justice for how bad it will turn out.
Yeah, especially if it was Westbrook there.
Yeah,
and they didn't move Westbrook. That would just be like, oh my gosh.
So, and one other thing, I think that's it, dude. I think we touched on everything I want to touch on, dude. Awesome. Head coaching, GM, free agents. Oh, my free agents. I'm looking at their list right now. Monk, a free agent. Melo, Bradley. They already cut Ariza, Ellington, Howard, Bazemore, and DJ Augustine.
They got literally nothing from so many of those guys.
And Bazemore I thought was going to be good. I thought Bazemore was a good little pickup.
He couldn't even get on the court with that bad team. I don't know if he did something wrong or like he wasn't great, but it was weird that he just wasn't out there a lot more often. The only guys that I would like to see back as a Laker fan would be Austin Reeves and Malik Monk.
Reeves is still under contract.
Yeah.
I think he's got one more left.
Yeah, because they signed Reeves Reeves was a non-draftee. He was invitee, and then they signed him. And
he's got one more left. So
Reeves is
basically Monk. Basically, Monk's the only player you want back.
Yeah, and the thing is, those two guys are supposed to be like your 7th and 8th best players, not the guys that are playing 35 minutes and are basically your 3rd and 4th best players. That's what they were most nights. Those were players that were being leaned on so heavily, and it was never going to work. It was never going to fit, and they gotta hope that they can take the $47 million from Russ, and instead of that player, get 3 players that can contribute.
Yeah, flip it into 4. So that's why, like that trade we put up with, what was it? Fournier, Walker. I mean, realistically, it'd be Walker.
You got Reddish and Nerlens Noel.
Yeah,
you get a big, you get a wing. that's like a little bit of a project. You get a wing guard that's a now Fournier can play now for you, right?
Yeah.
He's a starter in the NBA right now. And then you've got the upside with Reddish. You've got the salary fill in with Kemba, and maybe there's.
But I mean, like, now granted, Kemba hasn't been the same. Maybe like why I would think that would work is you would just kind of have to stagger. Okay, Walker, you're not suiting up. Boom, boom, boom. LeBron, you're not suiting up. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Now, I think that would work. Obviously,
and then even in the games too, right? Yeah. The way that you go, hey, Kemba, the minute LeBron comes out, you handle the ball. For 10 minutes. LeBron's out. We're going to taper his minutes down a little bit more. LeBron comes back in. You're in the corner for a little bit. Is Kemba a fantastic shooter? No. But is Kemba at least more competent than Russell Westbrook as far as like – and the thing with Kemba is he's at least – you think he's a better shooter than Westbrook, right? Which is part of what it is in the NBA because the defenders are like, oh, Westbrook's out there?
Yeah.
I'm good. They don't even go out. They don't even step out there. You just need someone who can like fake it enough to stretch them out.
You just need, and I mean, looking at Walker right now, Walker is a career 36% shooter from 3-point land, and Westbrook is a career 30%.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a little bit of an upgrade, not as much as you would think, but a little bit of an upgrade. But yeah, that's what they're gonna have to do. And let's face it, like when the Lakers are kind of like the Cowboys, like when they're good, it just kind of makes the NBA better because you have that team. Now, granted, I know you're my boy, it's your team, but you have that team that you like to hate.
Everybody wants to play against them.
Yeah, you have that team that's good that you like to hate.
The big evil villain.
Yeah, that's why it's good when those teams like the Yankees. Everyone hates the Yankees. It's good when the Yankees are good.
Yep.
So that way you can just kind of hate on them.
Yeah.
So Gino, dude, thanks for coming on, talking a little basketball.
Absolutely.
I think we just made a plan. I think we should be getting a phone call pretty soon. You and I will be hired, and
I know some of the front office is watching right now. So please as long as you don't have to pay us, just give us the courtesy, right? Just let everybody know you heard about this on the Erik Twitch stream.
So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? Because because we got Kentucky Derby, we got the Santa Anita Derby this weekend, correct?
Yep. This weekend, Santa Anita Derby, Wood Memorial, Keeneland at the Bluegrass. We had the Masters that just started, opening day of baseball. The Dodgers get ready to go. I'm rocking my Dodgy shirt. They got a game in about an hour or so from right now. We got the last couple games of basketball. You and I will be doing a lot of basketball previews over at Better Than Vegas on our BTV bet streams. Best way to follow everything for me is on Twitter. It's me, Gino B. I post all my content there. I'll have another live stream coming up tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and we're going to go over all the big Saturday races too. So there's a lot going on this weekend.
Definitely check that out because Jesus, I mean, you hit on the Bluegrass, the Wood,
and the Santa Anita Derby all the week this weekend. All those big races underneath too.
So Gino, thanks for coming on, and
anytime, bro.
Sunday,
right? Sunday NBA.
Yep, Sunday NBA. Talk then, bud. So now we're at the part of our podcast where we talk about UFC 273 and who else? The BTV Greek, a.k.a. Leo. He's going to come in. He's going to tell you who he's betting. I got 3 bets. He's got 3 bets. How you doing today, my man?
I'm living the dream, baby. How you doing?
You know what? What's the day today? April 8th?
Yeah.
It's snowing in Chicago.
No way. Is it really?
We have snow up where I am. Believe it. How? I have no idea. But we have effing snow. So, I mean, it's one of those days where I'm kind of like, why the F do I live here?
Yeah, that's bad. Like, I could get through snow up until, like, March Madness. Like, that's usually my cutoff. But once you start talking about later on, it's like, no, sorry, dude. I'm good.
Because you're in Boston area, no?
Yeah, right in the Boston area.
Yeah. So I won't talk shit how Tatum was soft and didn't play last night and how my Bucks ran away. I won't say anything.
No, now you already said it. Listen, the fact that Jason Tatum is not getting MVP conversations is asinine. The man is a goddamn superstar. He's going to lead us to the promised land. You say anything that just no, you stop it right now. You wish you had Jason Tatum on your team.
All right. Well, you know what? I may have to invite you out this way if the Bucks play, and we'll go up to a game. We'll go up to a Bucks.
Here's my thing. You know I can't go against Yanni. Yanni's one of us. Yanni's he's one of my people. I can't go against Yanni.
Yeah. So I hear you. So this is an interesting card. You know, I got three plays I like. 2 of the 3 are women's matches somehow for me. I don't know how, but that's how it came out for me. What is your first bet today?
All right, man. I got a few bets. I really focused in on the later fights because I'm actually super excited for this card. The first one I'm going to talk about is the one that's getting all the hype. You got Gilbert Burns against Chimaev. This dude Chimaev's a freaking killer, dude. I'm so fired up for this. I was going back and forth. I think he's going to win this fight inside the distance. But I actually got fancy on it. And my general rule for sports betting is don't get fancy. If you have a winner, just take the winner. UFC is the one sport that I like to get a little fancy with. So I was playing around. Do I want to go with him by decision? Not by decision, but knockout. Do I want him to go by submission? What I landed on is I think he's going to take care of business here in the second round. You can find that at around plus 300. I think Gilbert Burns is strong enough to get through the first round. I think people are that line is slightly inflated, I should say, because the Chimaev train is everybody's excited to see this dude. Everybody thinks he's going to finish up in round 1. If Gilbert Burns can get out of that first round, you're a heavy favorite to finish that in round 2.
Yep.
And to get that around plus 300-ish, I found it plus 297. So I like to round up because I like the number 2 better. But I think finishing him in round 2 is actually a pretty solid bet here.
Okay. My first play, I'm going to the undercard. I have Rodriguez by decision plus 170. I love backing fighters making their UFC debuts. And I really feel the difference in this fight is Rodriguez's boxing is just night and day above Hanson's. Don't get me wrong. Like, both of these women are good wrestlers. They on the ground game, I think it kind of neglects it. But at the end of the day, Hanson, I question her defensibility. I question her footwork. You have 2 evenly matched women wrestlers. I'll go to the one with the better stand-up. I don't think Rodriguez has the power, though, to knock her out. I found decision at plus 170. You know, I'll take that. You know, just because, like, first fight, a little nervous. You know, we'll find the range, and she's never lost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really solid bet. And again, I love the plus money aspect of it here because, like, these fights, I'm going to talk about it in my last couple fights too. Like, you have a really strong feeling as to who's going to win. But then if you can really just kind of pick it apart and figure out how they're going to win or what round they're going to win, you're looking at a big-time payday. So I really like how you got a little fancy and got that plus 170.
And I mean, I think, like, your statement hit it in the head. There's so many, like, by submission, TKO, inside the distance, you know, what round. UFC is one of the sports where if you can really, like you said, like, hone in on what's going to happen, there's a huge opportunity to make money. And when you're playing these plus odds, I mean, your ROI point drops. And I mean, if you're hitting 45%, you're constantly playing 150s, you're making good bank at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What is your second play?
Well, to kind of carry off our point here, I'm looking at the main event. I'm looking at Volkanovski here. Volkanovski is a minus 800 favorite. He's a massive favorite in this fight. I'm not laying minus 800. Who the hell's laying minus 800? Okay. If I do, I'm going to put way too much money on it. I'm going to be sweating it out, and I'm not going to sleep till Sunday, which is not good. So what I'm going to do, he's actually favored to win this fight by decision. I understand why, but I'm actually taking him to win this one by knockout. I know that he hasn't won by knockout in a little bit. His last 4 fights have gone to decision, but 3 of his last 4 fights were against Max Holloway and Aldo. Jung is a step down in competition from those guys. Those guys are absolute machines. Jung he's more of a ground guy, really. I don't think he has the chin. This is also going to be a longer fight. This is going to be a 5-round fight. I'm looking at Volkanovski here to knock him out at plus 220. I think there's a lot of value in that play.
See, the Korean Zombie has a special place because in the new UFC game, he's always my go-to fighter. So,
but also that may be the best nickname in the sport, the Korean Zombie.
But I agree with you. I mean, I'd love to see the Korean Zombie win. I like him, but I just don't think he has the tools. And I totally agree with your handicap of the fight and everything that's going to happen there. Next one, I went with Madison by decision at plus 230. Mindset here is this. Madison, he's a silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling. You look at the last time that Victor fought a wrestler, it was against Gillespie. Gillespie was able to get a submission win. Madison's submission game, because I think this is his 4th UFC fight. He's still making the transition from Greco-Roman to UFC. His submission game isn't there. I think it's going to be one of those old school, like, what was that guy, John Finch, where he just got the guy to the ground, laid on him, wrestled the way to a victory. I think that's what Madison's going to do. I think it's going to be a painful watch, but a good watch if we are able to cash that plus 230.
Yeah, dude, I love those kind of fights because those fights are extremely boring for most. But for the degenerates, you love them because you're like, you know what? I'm content. This one's very likely not to get finished. All I have to do is pick the winner, take them by decision, and you're looking, again, we just talked about it. It just increases your payday. It gives you a better chance, bigger paydays. I love the play.
Your third play on the day. Where are we going?
Dude, I'm fired up for this one because this is probably my favorite one. It's plus money. It's one of my favorite fighters. I love Petr Yan. He's an absolute machine. He got disqualified last time these two fought. I'm taking Petr Yan by decision at plus 125. I see a massive amount of value here because Sterling, 3 of his last 4 have gone to decision. He's not a guy that'll really finish the fight early. And then half of Jan's wins are by decision. Like, he's not known for knocking people out. He's going to tag you. He's a very technical fighter. He's comfortable standing up, and he's going to, keep his strikes in. He's very good, very accurate with the swings. I don't think he's going to knock him out. I think that his opponent's going to have a point to prove after the way that he won the belt last time. I like Sterling as a fighter. I don't think he's going to go down easily. I don't think Petr Yan knocks him out, though. I think this is going to be by decision, and Petr Yan gets the belt.
I agree, but also, like, just because I love drama, I'd love there to be another DQ. You know what I mean? Like, just like another, like suspect, like eye poke, something like that, just because I am a drama-filled guy.
You're a drama queen.
I am a drama queen. I am a drama queen. I mean, I have the rare distinction I can say in my life during the same weekend. I was called an asshole by, you ready for this? I was called an asshole in the same weekend by Janet Jackson and Beyonce. Few people in America can say that. Few people.
Wait. So your face?
Yeah.
So you were hanging out with Janet Jackson, Beyonce. They both called you an asshole.
Yeah. No. Different days, though.
Different days. They both call you an asshole.
Yeah. I did.
Is this going to be something you elaborate while we're on screen, or should I wait till we go off to start really asking?
So, Destiny's Child was where Beyonce started.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in the song, it's White Clough, their first song, No, Yes, Yes, Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is way back in the day when they first came out. And I saw her at a mall. They were performing. Me being me, I went up and I was like, hey, you're the girl in the White Clough video. She looks me dead square in the eyes and goes, no, asshole, he's in my video. True story. True story. Then later that night, me and my buddy Naresh were staying. Oh God, I forget what hotel we're staying at. And do you remember the R&B singer Genuine?
Yeah.
So I kid you not, we're going in, and we almost get plowed over by a car. Okay, in the car is Genuine. Okay, Genuine gets out and he's bumping Same Old G. It's rare. I thought it was weird that you have an artist bumping his own song, Same OG. He gets out of the car, and I'll tell you what about Genuine. One of the nicest celebrities I've met. I don't know. I'm one of those dudes. I meet a lot of celebrities in my life. I don't know how, because I live a pretty boring life. But he's
Do not undersell it. Hold on. Because you've told me enough stories in you do not live a boring life. You have not led a boring life. Like, I can't wait to read your memoirs one day.
My memoirs are going to be like, well, So he invited us to this party. Okay. So he's like, I'm going to invite you to this party. So we go to this party, and, me and Naresh, we give our names. And this guy, the doorman, like looks at us, looks down at the list, looks back at us again. And he's like, you guys are like on the VIP room. I'm like, oh shit. So we get escorted to like some little back area. We go in, and I mean, dude, you want to talk about the who's who of like early 2000 rap is in that building, is in this after party. So, I mean, like, dude, I met like everybody, like Timberland, Magoo, oh my God, Missy Elliott, and Jermaine Dupri was there. It was his party. And Genuine introduced us to Jermaine Dupri. Janet Jackson was there. Okay. And she goes, hi, I'm Janet. And I go, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. And she said, no, asshole. So that's why I got called an asshole by Janet Jackson and Beyonce in the same weekend. I mean, that's my story. So few people can say that. So
that's fucking brilliant, dude. If I was to handicap why Beyonce called you an asshole, it would have had to do with her booty. Like, I would have assumed like you went and touched it, you grazed it, something, you were staring at it too long, something along those lines. But like, that's a hell of a story, dude.
Hey, buddy, I like I said, I don't know how this stuff, and I'll get to my last play. One of these days, I'll have to tell you how I was doing Jaeger bombs with Nick Nolte at LAX, but that will wait to another day.
That'll wait till the next podcast I'm on.
Next podcast, we'll jump into Nick Nolte and me getting hammered at the LAX airport. My last play of the day, I got Torres, just even money. I'm looking at this. Dern's, she's going to want to get this fight to the ground.
Yeah.
The last fight, she was 1 of 8 in her takedowns. In her career for her takedowns, she's only 10%. Torres, 58% stopping takedowns. At the end of the day, I just don't think Dern's is going to be able to get her to the mat. And it's another situation where I got Torres, who's a better stand-up fighter, good takedown defense. She's going to be able to fight the way she wants to. And Torres has never finished anybody, so I think she's going to do enough. She's going to box her way to a win. But the reason I didn't take the decision was the decision prop was only plus, what was it? I think it was like plus 100. Plus 140. This is even money. That 40% juice in case she's able to catch Dern's, who I think is a little bit of a soft chin with something. That's why I stayed the way. I'm still getting the even money at plus 100. So I locked in Torres.
I love that handicap, and that is the exact reason why I kept toying back and forth with Rosenstruck too, because that dude's won 11 of his 12 fights by KO. You look at it, he's minus 160 on the money line right now. To win by KO, he's minus 110. He's probably my 4th pick. He gets the honorable mention because now I get to talk about him. But I think he's going to win it by knockout. But just in case this other dude, the dude that he's fighting, can actually like stay in the fight with him, then you don't want to get too fancy. You hope he wins the decision.
Yeah. Sometimes, and this is the thing about it, because like piggybacks what we're saying. You don't want to get like too fancy and try to outthink the room. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. That was my biggest flaw when I started with the UFC stuff. I would get like too delicate, too fancy, try to do fight of the night and everything, and then I just went down. Hey, decision in the distance, that stuff like that.
Man, you know what? The UFC is one of those sports where like, I can watch just about every fight and it doesn't really bore me. Like, I get kind of not just as excited, but you still get fairly excited, even for like a UFC fight night where it's like not the main guys coming up. You still get excited to watch it, man, because you're still probably going to see somebody get knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, and it's usually like it's usually like the fight cards that are less involved. I don't want to say less involved, but you know what I mean? Like less promoted.
Yep.
The ones like are on ESPN Plus, like on a college football. Those are the fight cards that usually live up to do the best. That are most exciting.
Yeah, definitely, dude.
Leo, I'd like to thank you for coming on, talking a little UFC, telling everyone your plays. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
Right here. Nice and simple, baby. Head on over. Better Than Vegas. I'm always repping the gear. Didn't get the pink degenerate shirt washed in time today. But go check us out. BetterThanVegas.com. We got all the stuff over there. We got free contests every week. $250. just had a massive giveaway where anybody that signed up with BetUS with our link, we gave away a free $50 to yesterday, which was mind-blowing.
I mean, like when you
Go
think all
check
you need to do is
everything out
just
there.
sign up. I mean, just think about that. All you need to do is just sign up on a link and you got a free $50. I mean, you know, you guys make it so easy for people to make money, and you like a lot of great handicappers there. You put out daily stuff, you're killing tennis. So guys, make sure you give Leo a follow. We'll definitely have you on for the next UFC card. My girl Thug Rose, 274, right around the corner, dude. 274, right? My girl Thug. So Leo, best of luck this weekend, and we will talk soon, my friend.
Thanks, buddy.
So it's that time of the podcast. He is looking to make it 2 in a row. He came in hot last week, called a shot. Hamlin, 12-1. Brandon, how you doing today, my man?
Doing good. Hoping to piggyback off of last week. It was a very, very fun race to watch. The way Hamlin came back too was he was running 11th with like 28 to go and just drove through the field. So that was fun to watch.
I'm not gonna lie, my Truex was right there. I really thought, Truex was gonna get it done, but I'll tell you what, we hit our head-to-head. Suarez beat Almirola. So if you guys turned in last week, it was a nice little week.
It was a good day.
Brandon and I always record Friday afternoon, about 20 to half an hour before 6 or so. And because of the race schedule, qualifying is actually going on right now.
Yes.
So all the books have kind of put down the odds. So we're not going to be able to kind of go about the odds and everything, but we will be able to tell you some guys that we like for sure. But before we jump into that, Brandon was telling me a funny story off air. And there's certain things in life that you just laugh at. And I was a dick. When he told me the story, I started laughing. So Brandon, you gotta tell everyone the story, dude.
It was just a normal iRacing night last night. Just wanted to jump in the truck and run a couple Martinsville races, and got into a race with Kyle Larson. I qualified 13th. He qualified 19th. So I was sitting there with my big head, like, yeah, out-qualified Larson. About halfway through the race, I was running 8th. He was running 9th, and I think he got frustrated that I wouldn't give him the bottom, and he flat out turned me. So he actually hit me under caution right before that, like gave me a little bump. So you could tell that he wanted that line, and I wasn't going to give it up. And the man wrecked me.
Dude, I shouldn't be laughing, but that's effing hilarious.
No, so what I'm hoping for is tomorrow night he gets turned by somebody so I can go on Twitter and say what happens in virtual happens in reality.
So let me ask you this. Like, help me understand this. So when you guys are racing and iRacing, can you like talk back and forth or not?
You can, and that's something Larson got suspended for 2 years ago. But you can click a button and talk. I did say thanks, Kyle, and no response. But it's funny when you get into these races, some of the kids that see the name, because to register for iRacing, you have to use your legal name. So if Kyle Larson's name is on there, it's Kyle Larson. And you see the paint scheme is normally their sponsor they have in real life. And everybody is on there, Kyle. He's not queuing up to talk to anybody. Dale Jr. has wrecked me before and actually completely apologized. It was like, oh, my bad. And I, being a fan, I was like, no, you're good. You're good. I got wrecked by Dale Earnhardt. So I'm good with that. But yeah,
that's actually kind of a cool story. So the first person I'm going to go to, and I looked at his odds yesterday. He's about 7-1 on more shots. I'm going to your boy, Chase Elliott. Now, the reason I like Chase is in the 21 race, he led 289 laps. Looking at last week at Richmond, he had the most laps ran inside the top 5, which, Richmond historically isn't his best track. So I think he's starting to figure out these new cars. And then when you just look at him here, since 2019, he's run 6 races, 1 win, 4 top 5s. But the thing that sticks out to me is he's led 19.2% of his laps. So I really like him here. I think people are looking way too much at Truex because he does have the 3 wins here. And, look at Larson, your boy, just went to the top of the qualifying stuff. So I think we're going to be able to get a little value on Elliott here. Maybe we can even get up to a 10-1 or so.
That'd be nice. And people have to remember, too, the year he won the championship 2 years ago, he was leading the race. It was one of those he had to win to get into the Final Four, and he went to the back and then came back through. So historically, it's been a good track for him. When he's in the 24 car, he was good here. He was winning a couple races. Hamlin dumped him in one race on the last lap. This track is historical that if you are leading the race and a guy can get to your bumper, the guy in second place is probably going to win because he's going to turn you for this win. It's a short track. It's called the paperclip for a reason. I'm on board with Elliott as well. I usually don't like betting my favorite driver. But to your point, he was in the top 5 for a while last week, and on his radio, something weird happened to where after a pit stop, he makes the comment, "I don't know what's happened to the car." And the spotter or the crew chief, I couldn't determine which one it was, said, "I know exactly what happened." And he goes, "Did tire pressure change that much? Or did changing the air pressure in the tire change the car that much?" And he said, "No." And Elliott said, what is it? And he goes, "I can't tell you right now. I'll have to tell you later." So whatever they changed in the car it did, they did not want to come over the radio at all to explain what the change was. Elliott was asked about an interview, acted like that conversation never even happened. So to your point, I think they are figuring it out, and there's certain ways to dial these cars in. And I'll be interested to see what he does in qualifying. I hope he qualifies 8th or 9th just to give more value. Because if you know this, if he goes to the top of the charts, we're going to get him at 5.5, 7-1.
And then at that point, there's nothing. But at 7-1, I'll get invested in him. We're going to pull up these odds right now via CBSSports.com. He's right at the 7-1. This is what they were when they closed. Truex Jr., I mean, we talked about it before. I'm not paying anyone at 4.5 to 1
to
win it. Hamlin, I mean, did he win the race last week? Yeah. But you and I never like backing somebody after they win a race.
No, unless it's Larson.
Yeah.
Last year.
So, we're just kind of looking at these guys right here. Is there anyone that kind of sniffs you? Because I saw Byron at about 11-1 at a book earlier in the day. He took a gamble last week.
Yeah.
He stayed out there. The gamble didn't pay off. Too bad it didn't. But he really was in a position to win. And the thing that stuck out to me, he's just been a consistent car.
Yes.
And since it's been such a consistent car, that's who I'm looking to back. So I like Byron here. If he opens up and it's anything north of 10-1, I'm going to be invested.
I'm with you on that solely because he ran the truck race last night and dominated it. So he got a lot of laps in last night. I don't know if his odds will stay there, but Harvick just went to the top of the board in his Group A qualifying over Larson. If he opens up around 25-1 after what I'm seeing qualifying, I'd touch on that. If he drops down anything below 20, I wouldn't. But 25-1 or higher, I wouldn't mind touching Harvick. We're just going to see what the books say. I like Kurt Busch at 50-1. I think this is his style of a track to where he loves rubbing and putting bumpers to people. So I do like Kurt.
That's my boy. I love me a little Kurt, a little Kurt. And the thing is with Kurt, I mean, you're looking at him, six races since 2019, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, best finish 5th. He's finished every single race. He has led 23 laps. So, that's someone too. I mean, we're getting this price. What was he at down here?
50.
I mean, 50-1. I mean, that's definitely doable. I like that.
You got to scroll down just a little bit more. Keep going right there. I doubt the odds will still be there, guys, but Austin Cindric was sitting at 75-1. The man's already won a race, and he's shown speed almost every week. If he opens up anywhere from 30 to 1 or higher, I'm absolutely grabbing Cindric.
You're going at him?
Yes. 30 to 1 or higher, absolutely. You got the car, he's got the talent, and he's already won a race, and he's fast.
Yeah.
I mean, even I don't want to start throwing a bunch of names out to where you guys have a bunch of people to drop, and then we come on Sunday or Saturday night and say, oh, we picked 9 drivers and one of them won. But even Suarez sitting at 65 to 1.
Yeah, that's tempting. I mean, like, I know for me, I have 3 drivers that as soon as the head-to-heads come out, I'm going to be looking to fade. The first driver, we got Ricky Stenhouse. He's got 6 races here, never with a top 10.
Nope.
Best finish 15th. Next driver, Austin Dillon. I mean, 6 races here, 3 top three top 20 finishes. Best finish 11th. 1 did not finish. And then Almirillo. I mean, again, 6 races, 3 top 20. 2 times didn't finish the race. I mean, those are just kind of 3 guys that I'm going to look to fade. And we have to remember there's so many ways to bet NASCAR. A lot of us, we kind of get caught up. I want to hit the home run. I want to win it. I want to get, the Hamlin 12 to 1. But guys, I got paid. Brandon got paid for Suarez over Almirillo. Getting paid is getting paid. So if you guys see a head-to-head that sticks out, I mean, definitely bounce on that, because those are 3 guys. If those guys are in heads-to-heads against someone, hypothetically, let's say like Busher. If they're in a head-to-head with Busher, I'm going to take Busher in all those head-to-heads.
Yeah.
Someone like that. Someone interesting this week, Chase Briscoe. Historically, he's only ran twice here, yet to finish inside the top 20, 1 finish at 22, 1 finish at 27. Anything here with Chase?
I not this week.
Not this week.
Wow.
What about Bubba? I know. I mean, just looking at Bubba, 6 races, 4 times in the top 20. I'll be honest. If I get a Bubba against Dylan prop, I'm going to take Bubba.
100%. Head to head, I'm good with Bubba. I'm still not there to pick him for the win. He's shown speed, but at these short tracks, it's never been a thing for him. The super speedways, he's in all the time. The 1.5 miles are hit or miss. They've been hit for him this year. They've been good. But short track racing for Bubba, I can't lean on him. Like, I'm sitting here looking at qualifying, and in Group B, you got Cole Custer top of the charts right now at 175 to 1. Now, granted, he's not going to be 175 to 1 when this is over, and there's still Group B to finish, and then the top 5, I think, in each group to do their thing. But to see Cole Custer sitting P1 right now in Group 2, it makes me wonder. It really does.
I'm looking at Custer right now. 4 races since 2019, 2 top 20, 2 top, where we got 2 top 20s. Yeah, 2 top 20s. Best finish 13th, worst finish 29th. He has so it's not like you know what I mean? It's not like he's a world beater at this track.
No. I will tell you, I'm not going to steer away, guys. I'm pounding it every single week. Harrison Burton, 250 to 1. He will get a win this year. He will absolutely find victory lane sometime, and that's going to pay for your entire season.
Now, what about, you mentioned Suarez. I'm looking at his historical data right now. 6 races, 1 top 10, 1 top 20 that he finished 10th once. 1 did not finish, worst finish 32. You know what I mean? Like, historically, this isn't the track he produces at.
No, but historically, he's been in bad equipment with no funding.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So when you look at historical data, I can't do that with Suarez.
But
Only because he's never had backing.
But I guess so. When you look at this, you have someone now that does have backing, does have equipment, with Pitbull and Floyd Mayweather. But so his performance is naturally going to increase, but still he hasn't done well at the track.
No.
Does that, you know what I mean? Like how much, I guess my question is, how much will you bump him up on your rankings?
It's going to depend on how he qualifies.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. At Martinsville, if you qualify 30th, number one, we saw in the clash in the short stadium track, it's like bumper cars for NASCAR. There's nowhere to go. So unless you pull some crazy off-the-wall strategy, you're not going from 30th to first. So I would definitely look at qualifying before you guys place these bets, because if you have somebody like a Suarez, a Cindric, even a Kurt Busch go to the back, like Allmendinger, he got disqualified for qualifying. So he's starting dead last and has to do a pass-through penalty. This track's so short, he's going to at least be 1, if not 2 laps down by the time he gets back out of pit road. Now you're 2 laps down at Martinsville trying to come from the back. I don't see you getting those 2 laps back.
Now, on the flip side, we talked about a driver going from bad equipment to good equipment. What about a driver going from good equipment to bad equipment and being unfocused because he's a race owner? And Brad Keselowski, 6 races here, 1 win, 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 5 top 20s. He's led 454 laps of the drivers that are racing. Okay. Truex, the most laps, 754. Chase Elliott, 575. The next one is Brad with 454. Okay.
Yeah.
And one did not finish, lowest finished 33rd. I mean, we're looking at this right here. Where is old Bradley? Where is old Bradley? I mean, 30-1 for Brad Keselowski, man. Come on, dude. That's got to be some value there.
Now, I got a feeling that those odds aren't going to be there at the qualifying because he's 3rd fastest in Group B. And if you combine Group A and B, right now he's third or 4th fastest overall. So I don't know if those odds are still going to be there come the time qualifying's over.
So what's your buy point then for Brad? What's your point you buy? Like, are you looking for 20-1 or higher? Or if he gets down to 15-1, is that still a buy?
20 to 25 or higher.
So anything lower than that is just a pure pass.
Yeah, I'm not touching.
Okay. All right. Now, what about Harvick?
Yeah, no, Harvick based off of qualifying, I liked it. So if Harvick is sitting 25 or higher, then I'll absolutely grab Harvick.
Bowman, 1 win.
No.
Would Bowman be a good guy to fade in head-to-heads?
I don't want to say no because he's been so consistent so far this year. I'm not picking him to win. He won last year. He moved Denny Hamlin on the last lap. So he's got a win here within the last year. But I don't know if I can fade him because he's been consistently good. I'm not betting on him to win the race.
What about Reddick? 4 races, 1 top 10. Best finish 8th, lowest 24th.
I'm not fading him either.
What about your mom's favorite racer, Christopher Bell?
No,
4
absolutely.
races, 1 top 10, 3 top 20s, has led 9 laps, best finish 7th, lowest finish 28th.
Absolutely not fading him solely because he almost won last week and he's starting to show speed. And when he was in the lead towards the end last week, I thought about you and I'm like, we touch that guy almost every week. And I'm like, if he pulls this shit off the week we don't touch him,
Yeah.
my mom's going to be happy, but I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah. LaJoy. I mean, Jesus. I'll say this. This is going to sound crazy. Do we just fade LaJoy, man? I mean, I'm looking at him right here. 6 races, average finish of 25, best finish 18th, worst finish 37th, 1 did not finish.
Because of the joy, I wish we could get Vegas to come out with a bet that says most likely to crash.
Most likely the first driver to crash. Dude, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I will fade LaJoy. I will if I get a LaJoy, and it could be against, I don't even know what's a like.
It can be against almost anybody at this point, except like BJ McLeod or somebody like that. But
what about a Cody Ware?
Oh no, I will tell you this. No, so yes, LaJoy is horrible, but I'm not taking Ware over him. So no, not happening.
That's kind of funny. All right. Well, Brandon and I will tweet out, Instagram out our picks, but that's kind of where our head is. I'm liking Elliott, Byron. I'm looking to fade Stenhouse, Amarillo, and Dylan in some head-to-heads. Brad K is definitely on my radar. How about you again, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm going to do Chase for sure. Me and you are both locked in on him. I do like Kurt Busch, and I like Austin Cindric.
All right, Brandon.
Keeping the Harrison Burton going every
week. We gotta keep that Burton train going, man.
Yes.
So Brandon, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on Instagram, Twitter, and your iRacing stuff coming up?
Boston Boy 83, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch for iRacing, and hoping to get back on in the next night or two and not get dumped by Kyle Larson again. I think I'll be a happy camper.
Dude, that you know what? Earlier in the podcast, I told some stories, but I feel that your story trumped my stories.
It absolutely did. I don't even know what your stories were, but whatever they were, they definitely got trumped by that story.
So, man.
Thanks, guys.
Are they racing next week?
Ooh.
I mean, it is. I found out.
Yeah. Hey, Easter weekend, Bristol on dirt.
Okay. All right.
I will be in New York, but usually I go to that race, but I will be in New York, so I will not be at the.
Well, hopefully, holiday weekend we'll figure something out where you can come on and we'll talk a little bit. But safe travels to NYC, and let's make some money.
Appreciate it. Good luck, everybody. Cash it in 2 weeks in a row.
That's it for today's podcast, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Great show today. I'd like to thank my guest Gino coming in. We broke down what's going on with the Lakers, what happened this year, what can they do moving forward, who I think would be the perfect GM coach. We talk about the coaching. I mean, we talk about a trade that we like for both of them. So, it was a great talk, over an hour of Laker talk, which is great. But Gino, I'd like to thank my boy Leo for coming on, telling who he locked in for UFC 273. Great card. Really looking forward to it. I got 3 bets. He got 3 bets. We're going to cash those. And also my boy Brandon coming on and telling you what NASCAR bets to lock in. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, subscribe. Like I said, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to be going live on Twitch when I do an interview. And, then it'll be live on YouTube. So you can see this beautiful moneymaker face, or you can just listen to it on iTunes or Spotify. Like, subscribe, leave a review. Thanks for the support, guys. I'll be back next week. Let's cash some tickets. Let's make some money.